Good evening, it's William from WCP Models here. In the previous videos you would have seen us building this chassis unit. So this is a chassis unit for our Opel Blitz in 1/16 scale. Now what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on building up the suspension unit. So we've got the rear suspension and the front suspension unit to do. So in this video what we're going to do is build up the front suspension beam, show what goes together with it. Some of you might find that some of these are pre-built, but yeah, I'm just going to go through how we build them from scratch. So this is our front beam, and it's got these small, these small little units. I'm dropping it again, very tiny pieces, and you'll see there's a little notch in here, and they are sided, but what we're going to do is we're going to just slide that in there. And it's quite a nice tight fit, so that is how our beam locates. The reason we do that is because it allows us to print it better. So I'm just going to put some of our favourite solvent weld just into the join, and that should nicely weld these bits together. Excellent. Straighten up. There we are. Okay. So now we have our beam put together. Now the next bit is putting in these little brass bushings. So we're just going to put them in. It's these ones here. And the holes are such that we can just push them in. There's a little bit of a tight fit, but you should just be able to push them in by hand. And that now means that we have some little metal bushings in there, so it should help reduce wear and tear on the plastic components. Right, after we've done this bit, the next stage is building up the front hub units. This is one that we've prepared earlier. So we've got the wheel with the bearings mounted, and here's the front hub. Now what we're going to do is guide through how we assemble this. So this is just how it's come off the printer, and I'm just going to remove the flashings very quickly. And we do try to minimise where possible any support material, because it is just wasted after all. What we're going to do is just poke out the supports in the holes. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take another M3 bolt, and we're going to screw it in from the back so it comes through. And then we're going to take a simple M3 nut. It's not a nylock, it's just a simple nut. I'm going to make sure it's screwed all the way home, and we're going to make sure it's nice and tight. I'm just using a pair of pliers here. There we are. So that's our stub axle. Now what we have to do is to take some more brass bushings. So one will go on the back. Take the wheel, we'll install the bearings, front and the back. Okay, and we're going to put in a brass bushing in that front bearing as well. Now we just push it through, and we're going to put a M3 nylock. So again, I'm just going to use a pair of pliers just so I can grip that nicely. Right, that's a little bit too tight, so we can actually vary the amount of preload on these bearings by doing this. And there we are, perfect. So we now have the two front hub assemblies. Now what we're going to do is assemble them, so I'm going to slide them home. You've then got these really long M2s, and we're going to fit a little washer. They go all the way through. Got another washer for the back and the little nylock. It's a little bit tricky, but yeah. Now these don't want to be too tight because we don't actually want to bend the plastic. But there we have our steering assembly. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So long M2 bolt. We'll just assemble this here and we're going to push it through. Again, another M2 washer and then a nylock on the back. Same thing applies. Don't load up too tight. Oh, I've just pulled that nut off. There we have it. Now in this video we're not going to put the steering links on, so we'll do that in another video. But as you can see, there's our front beam. Right, the next stage is actually now assembling the front springs. So what we're going to do is we've got these little spacers and they will go on like that. We just need to poke the hole through, make sure it's nice and clear. Now on this particular build, these are actually printed with TPU, so it gives a little bit of a cushioning effect. We're then going to use a printed helper spring and then our metal spring, and they're going to sit on like that. So we're going to take these M2 bolts, I'm going to put an M2 washer on, slide it through the metal leaf, slide it through the printed leaf, just screw that in, just go through the little TPU block. Okay, and then that then goes through the beam. I'm going to put now another little M2 washer and a little nylock. It's going to do the same thing again. So M2 with a washer from the back here. Screwed through, M2 washer, M2 nut, nylock again. Right, so just so you can see on the camera, so that's our front leaf sprung suspension. And we'll come back just in a second once we've done the other one as well. So now we've come back, we've got leaf springs on both sides. So now we can actually come to mount it into the chassis. So just going to turn the chassis upside down like this, and we'll be mounting on there like that. So the first thing that we'll be doing is taking our M2.5 bolts, and we'll be sticking them through the back of the leaf eye. Now this just helps to clamp the back of the leaf in place. Now we're going to put the bolt through there like that. Oop. And the tricky bit is trying to get the little nylock to sit into the little recess that I've 3D printed into the little mount. And this bit really is quite tricky. See, what we're trying to do here is just try and get the little, might be able to see it because of my finger, but try and get the nylock into the back of the bracket. So what we've got now is quite hard to see with the lighting we got, but at the back of the leaf mounts, they're now in with the nylocks in behind them. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this front beam, we're going to slide the back of the leaves underneath those bolts that we've just put in, and now what we're going to do is install the bolts for the front of the leaf. Now you take the M2.5s here, put an M2.5 washer on, and we're just going to screw this in from the back. We'll do this on both sides. Now these bolts are passing through the aluminium chassis rails and through the front of the servo mount, which also is part of the front suspension mount as well. So this now ties the front end of the chassis together, and what we'll do, you can see that they're starting to come through. We'll then take another washer and we'll take a nylock. So you can see them being bolted on. So now what we have is our front beam. Obviously we'll put our steering in later, but you can also see that is our front suspension for the front of our Opel Blitz. Right. Thank you very much for watching. Please look out for the next video. Alright, take care. Good night. Bye bye.